And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Innovators Corner. I and Shalini are here back again on our Tuesday evenings with you all to share about intellectual property. And the topic of today is technology transfer process. Hi Shalini, how are you doing?
Hi, Prigya. I'm doing fine. I hope you're having a good Tuesday.
Yes, I am.
Sorry, we just had legs day at our workout, and I feel like I'm made of jelly.
Yeah, legs day is is the most difficult day.
Yes. So, intellectual property and technology transfer. So, I think it is the need of the hour.
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
know, I guess you're waiting for me to make opening remarks as usual.
Absolutely. I was just about to say, Shalini, let's start with the opening remarks.
Yes. So, at the bottom of all this is the underlying fact that IP is an asset,
Yeah.
and we have moved from an a tangible asset based economy to a knowledge based economy. So your intellectual property registration, protection, it's an asset, and an asset is incomplete unless it is being monetized, unless it's being commercialized.
Correct.
And the technology transfer is one of the ways. We have to Technology transfer is where we go through the life cycle of protecting that intellectual property, that technology, since we're talking about patents, and getting it from from its idea phase to getting it into the market with commercialization. That
Absolutely.
in a crux is technology transfer.
Absolutely, Shalini. So I think in technology transfer, because a lot of universities have tech transfer offices, then a lot of companies also have tech transfer offices. Some of the companies believe in open innovation, so they have a team for that, doing licensing and cross licensing for them. So what I think that technology transfer process is a kind of a life cycle in which patent or IP is a part. Because sometimes what happens is people think that okay, patent protection is something we need to focus on, but I think technology transfer is something we need to focus on, and patent protection is a part of technology transfer.
Absolutely. We get so hung up with obtaining that patent, and once we get it, we feel like, okay, now our work is done. But
Yeah,
I think that's just one stop on the way to your final destination. So when we
absolutely.
talk about again, technology transfer is not only the final phase from registration of the patent to commercialization. We have to look at it from inception to commercialization.
Correct, absolutely, that is also very important.
Because we are not only talking about transfer of that intellectual property, we are talking of the entire technology being transferred. So
Yeah.
with that, your know-how and whatever plant and machinery, inventor support, any kind of site monitoring, any kind of um, a breakdown in terms of plant and machinery where you need innovators or inventors uh, technical background or technical assistance. So all of that is transferred as it's as a package,
Yeah.
and so we cannot look at it with a one dimensional view.
Correct. So, Shalini, sometimes people say or they have a common question like, okay, we have a patent, we can license a patent because the rights are somewhere written, like the claims are written, so we know what our rights are and how that can be used when we license them. But when we transfer, for example, things like know how, which I
Mm.
think fall into the part of trade secrets, then
Yes,
what happens, like how is it actually done? Is it through agreements
it's
or
entirely contract based.
yeah.
And so, what the parties should do, and what I encourage them to do, is first have a meeting without
Hmm.
a lawyer
Hmm.
and put your thoughts down on paper. Point
Correct.
number one. Two, three, four. It doesn't have to be in legal language. It just has to be what their sentiments are, what their vision is for that particular IP, for that particular technology, which could be know-how. It could be know-how related to the patent. So let's say
Hmm.
one part they have decided to protect with a patent, the other part is protected with know-how, trade secrets. And of course, then there is a whole bunch of plant and machinery sometimes, or raw materials that are required from a particular source. So all those things have to be, so they have to talk about all of that. So
Hmm.
let's say party A says, okay, this is what I envision. Party B looks through it, redlines it, and says, this I'm okay with, but this I'm not okay with, and they put in their thoughts. And this heads of terms, this list of their thoughts in a systematic format comes to the lawyer.
Hmm.
And with that, now since both parties have accepted that heads of terms, it is quite an important step. We
Hmm.
can't directly start drafting the contract.
Hmm.
It's not a leave and license where you can just say, okay, start this. It's a more complex creature, because we
Hmm.
are now talking about who is going to take care of the plant and machinery, who is going to provide raw material, where is it going to be sourced from,
Hmm.
do they want inventors input, if there are any future improvements made in
Hmm.
this field by the inventor, is he allowed to continue experimenting? If he does come up with something new, who is going to work on, who's going to get rights to it, and
Hmm.
is he obliged to disclose it to the other party?
Hmm.
And then also we have to talk about payments and upkeep. Who's going to worry about the maintenance of the
Hmm.
patent? Who's going to worry about maintenance of all the equipment? So it's a complex beast, and therefore this preliminary document where both parties have signed and said, yes, we agree upon these terms, now go ahead and draft it, makes life easier for everyone.
Yeah, Shalini, I'll just give you one example. You have very rightly said that, in the first meeting, the presence of lawyer is not necessary. And even, when a notice is served that we want to enter into negotiations for technology transfer, I don't think that should go through a lawyer. Like, a person can directly write to the other party that we are interested in getting your technology, we love your technology, or this is how we want to use your technology. Why? Because I was recently chatting with an inventor in US, and he tried to enter into technology transfer with somebody. And because the license agreements, or initial conversations went through lawyers, the other party got scared, that, oh my god, what's happening, we don't want to enter into this kind of situation where lawyers are arguing for negotiation and things like that. So I think that is also, sometimes inventors get scared, but we are friends. We are not there to scare anybody.
Yes, but this is a highly unpopular opinion that lawyers are not required at the first meeting.
Yeah.
But you are a lawyer and I'm a lawyer, so we are allowed to say that. I don't think anyone else is allowed to say
And I
that.
think, we both are also technologists first and then lawyers. I always say, okay, my first degree was in science and my second degree
Yes,
was in law.
yes, yes. I always stay true to your first degree, right?
Yeah.
So I always, my first thing is, yes, I'm a physics person. I'm a physics person, and therefore, the first thing I say is not that I'm a lawyer, but the first thing I say is I'm a physics person. But anyway, um, yeah, you're right. The other party, individual inventors do tend to get intimidated, and therefore, I encourage the first meeting between the two parties to always be, even if there is a lawyer in the background,
Mhm.
I always encourage the first meeting uh, to be one on one.
Yeah.
So it is a technology transfer through universities is a slightly different
Yeah.
ball game, because so since we talk about technology transfer, we should not forget about technology transfer offices. So quite a few universities, especially abroad, have technology transfer offices wherein the patents are lodged and they look out for buyers, or
Correct.
the people who want to use it contact the tech transfer office, and they have a ready-made take it or leave it agreement some most of the times. Like I think CSIR has a
Yes.
technology transfer office, and there's a take it or leave it um, agreement. Uh, So there is not much room for, so only it's a very one-sided thing, and they are of course a huge institution with several patents to their name. So I think they are entitled to whatever they do.
Correct. But I
But
think,
tech transfer, I think more universities should have tech transfer offices. What do you think?
yeah, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like in foreign universities, we see a lot of tech transfer happening. Even when we attend conferences, we see a lot of people participating in the conferencing, getting themselves updated what is happening in the scenario so that they can make the technology transfer of the universities a little better. In our country, I think we have started having IP cells in especially engineering colleges. I have seen IP cells in architecture colleges, art colleges also. So I think we are also progressing towards the towards the idea that okay, we need people are developing steps because India is a population with the like we have a majority of younger population, and the
Yes.
ideas flowing through them are of massive amount. So I think now our colleges have also started understanding that, and they are also taking leverage of IP filings, and they want tech transfers. They have many of the colleges have IP policies wherein they mention that what amount will go to the college, what amount will go to the students, what amount will go to the company in case your technology get transferred. So I'll say when you are a student in college and when you enroll in college, do see the documents you are signing. There might be an IP policy in that too.
Absolutely. I have done quite a few of these IP policies for educational institutions.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, those documents also have the tech transfer ones for universities also have who is in charge of maintaining the IP, who is
Hmm.
in charge of defending the IP, and so on.
Hmm.
So it's a very, if drafted properly, it's a very watertight document. And you're right, people should go and read it. And if it's not ready, you should make one just to be ready for when
Hmm.
monetization or commercialization is going to happen.
Correct. So, Shalini, at this point, I think because the topic is the process of technology transfer, we can briefly tell them that what could be the steps involved in the technology transfer process. For example, the first step could be, as you said, it would be an ideation stage. Second step could be a stage where the product is actually developed.
Yeah.
Then it could be a stage of evaluation, whether I can get a patent or how I should go about uh, protecting IP, if I may say so, or protecting the technology. Then it could be filings, registration, evaluation, negotiation, licensing. I
Yes.
think. Uh,
Yes. And
so you will
after
have to
don't
confirm
forget.
these stages.
Yes, no, no, no. You covered them all. Just one last thing I would add is recordal with the patent office. Don't forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you have a patent, you have to make all the recordals and recordals of licensing
Like
agreements.
yes, yes, recordal of licensing agreement with fresh POA and everything.
I know I spoke it in the flow. flow.
Yeah, I think we forget that last step. It's such a small step, right? But it's so important that it's easy to overlook it. But I always make it a point to include it in my tech transfer talks, and when I'm talking about commercialization, monetization, I always end with that and record it with whichever patent office it has to be recorded.
Correct, absolutely. So, Shalini, I think that's all. We discussed the process, we discussed the importance of it. Anything you would like to add?
Payment gateways. Make sure that when you are talking about the currency, which
Hmm.
days currency exchange you're talking about.
Yeah.
because that creates, especially if it's a cross border transaction, that will create all sorts of problems for you. Was it
Mhm.
on the day that the agreement was signed, or was it on the day that the payment is being made? So, whoever is drafting it has to take care of that. Just make sure that you have the currency exchange date in mind when you are filing, discussing.
And even the transaction fees, because I think it's been increasing of late
Yeah,
too much. So probably that too.
that
Who
too.
is going to bear the cost of? Who is going
Yes,
to even the import export cost in case the equipments are being transferred? All of these things have to be taken into picture.
yes. And now with a lot of one of my clients, a lot of his windmills parts were coming from China, and then lockdown happened. So a lot of our stuff was stuck in transit,
Mm.
and we don't want that. Of course, there is always a force measure,
Mm.
but reimbursement of materials, and travel cannot happen due to whatever reason. So all those things have to be taken into account. That heads of terms has to be a very solid document.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of clauses, a lot of agreements.
But I tell you, it's such a fun thing to draft. It takes about,
Yeah.
I did one which took about almost 2 months, from signing of heads of terms to everyone being okay with the contract. And it was a cross border one, different countries, and it was such an exciting I mean, I don't know anyone who will call contract drafting exciting, but that project actually was very exciting. I learned so much from it, and it was so cool to see what goes on in the minds of inventors and in the minds of investors.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, I would recommend everyone to do at least one tech transfer project in their life.
And Chalini, I tell you, people don't believe it, but I love this the work we do.
Yes.
How can you enjoy writing stuff so much? Oh my God, when it's technology, we get high on technology.
I was telling someone it's like getting a mini PhD each time you're drafting a patent,
Yeah.
right? Because you learn everything from what was the background, what is the prior art, what are the problems with it, what is the jargon, the language used, what are the terms, and what is a acceptable ratio or range for all the variables, up till what this new thing that has come into the world is going to do to change the face of that technology. So yes, you're right. I mean, drafting. I love drafting a new patent.
Yeah. So, Shalini, Mitch is here with us from California. He's saying hi and he's saying we are enjoying the conversation. And Mitch is a very famous lawyer who works in the area of Web3 and metaverse. So, I am
I
expecting
remember.
some good technology transfer happening from Mitch.
I remember this. Hi, Mitch.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. As you were saying, first thing. So I think for me the most exciting part of being a patent attorney is we get to know about the technology which is still yet to come in market. Oh my God,
Yes.
you already knew about this thing happening. so, so
Yep,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we overall get an idea that what is going to come up in next few years.
absolutely. So it's a cool field, and I feel like the kids who after 12th directly go into a 5-year law program, and I keep trying to talk to them saying, hey, you know what, do something science related first and then do a postgrad in law. And they're like,
Mhm.
no, it's a 5-year course, there's NLU, NLS. And I understand those are brand names, and they carry some value, but I don't know if the number of patent attorneys goes down because of that.
No, they won't. I think nowadays, because technology has become such an integral part of our generation and the younger generation, we see things like data privacy, privacy law, privacy professionals coming up. Then then IT Act, information technology, information transfer, information protection, then the patent law with the technology. So many new things coming up. It's going to be crazy for lawyers. So I think every lawyer should know some background of technology because it's in and around us throughout.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so I think we have touched on little extra topics than we wanted
Yes.
to.
So we discussed the technology transfer process, and then we discussed why technology is important for lawyers.
Yes. So, do you, okay, that's a conversation for another day about technology and lawyers. We'll
Yeah,
come back
we
to it
will
another
do
day.
that another day.
Okay. So, closing remarks, Pragya?
Closing remarks. If you have any idea in mind, we just discussed the technology transfer process from idea evaluation to negotiation, licensing, closing the deal, and recording the technology transfer. So do follow the process. It I'll not say it's an overnight process. It's a long, slow, boring, if I may say so, process. But yeah, it is at the end it is very fruitful process. When you do it, you feel enlightened. Oh my god, it's finally done.
Absolutely.
So yeah, with this, Shalini, we end.
We end and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next Tuesday, everyone. It was lovely having you here, and we'll come up with another topic related to IP next week. Thank you.